Hi, Kirby. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Sarah's coming to us
So,
from London today.
yes, yes. I'm in
You,
I'm in my hotel room. So
yeah, you went to the London Expo, I believe, right?
I went to the London
Osmosis Expo.
Osmosis conference. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
So
Cool. Yeah. And so the next Osmosis conference is in June in Florida. So if anybody's interested in checking that out, maybe we'll share the link to that as well. I'll probably be there. I don't know if Sarah will be there, but it's a good conference. Generally, a pretty good conference.
yeah.
One of the best.
Yes.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about tools and evaluating tools. And um, we'll go through a couple of news articles about why you need to evaluate your tools. Even your smallest little tools might need to be evaluated sometimes. And let's kind of start off with why. Millions of
Mhm.
people spied on by malicious browser extensions in Chrome and Edge.
Yes.
So,
So this is an ongoing problem or issue that has been happening ever since we've had extensions for Chrome and Edge. Intermittently throughout history, the short history, this occurs. And so what it is, Chrome and Edge, they can't and they don't moderate all the extensions. So it's really up to the user to vet what extensions they're using.
yeah, and there's some tools for vetting that and that sort of thing. But once something is vetted and this sort of thing is reported on, and generally those um, extensions get booted from the Chrome store, but that doesn't mean they aren't still
Yeah.
on your computer. They could still stay on your browser long after they're out of the Chrome store. Um, Actually, the first app store though, trivia, Firefox. It was Firefox. I think in like 2005 or 2006 they started their extensions, and then
Hmm.
eventually Chrome caught up. And the reason Edge has them is because Edge is built off of Chrome. Personally, I'm using Brave, also built off of Chrome. So you can use those Chrome extensions. Yeah, we will go into a little bit of how to vet those Chrome extensions as well. So, or any extension, basically any
And
tool.
And I just wanted to add something to what you said is if you did have an infected extension, it's best actually to remove Chrome altogether and to remove, the other whatever browser it is altogether and then reinstall it without to make sure that it's totally off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. I had not heard that, but yeah, I could see
To
where.
off the browser, not necessarily your OS, not your operating
Oh, I see.
system, but the
Okay. So yeah,
browser.
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, remove it completely in your manage the bookmarks section and just
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. So that's just one thing to kind of keep in mind. Here's another one where we're thinking about some of these AI apps we're using, right?
Hmm.
So this story says that AI apps on the Google Play Store are leaking customer data and photos. So they're not necessarily stealing it, although some of them may as well. One thing I notice about the app stores is there are a million AI apps. Some of them are built off some of the major ones that we might already use. And so it might be one of those things where you pay attention to what you're downloading, because you might be downloading, for example, something that runs off of ChatGPT or something that runs off of Cloud or something that basically ports it where you're not getting the original app.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and there's so many AI apps, so many different, image, video ones, legal ones now, ones to help you write a novel. There are a little bit of everything, and it's worthwhile maybe spending a little time trying to figure out whether or not this is going to be a safe app or not. And we will kind of go into that as well. All
Good.
right. One more. I believe we just have one more. No, two more articles. One more article, and then we're just going to actually go in and check some stuff out. So here, Hacker News, we have over 60 software vendors issue security fixes across OS, cloud, and network platforms, and that was just February 11th of this year.
Hmm.
So again, sometimes it's the vendors' own vendors that may have given them a security issue or whatever, and they send out their security updates. We need to make sure that we are trying to stay with probably the most, what would you say, Sarah? Vetted, the most secure. I don't know. How would you describe it? the tools that we want when we're like looking out there. Because I mean, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Adobe, Firefox, the ones that are on this list right here, these are all well and well-loved programs or companies for that build programs, but even they can be compromised, and so you have to trust the programs you're getting to send the updates, to send those security fixes.
Right. Well, I think, I mean, for me, you do have to trust in that sense, but you also have to have zero trust in the sense that you realize that they do, that they can have flaws. And so you always have to think about what are those backup steps for when those flaws occur. And I think that, the big thing is vetting and looking at reviews.
And risk analysis. What
risk analysis too.
Risk when I use this tool, and if it does have a flaw, what kind of data is going out over it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and one more hacker news story. Fake IPTV apps spread massive Android malware targeting mobile banking users. So IPTV is huge, and I see there's so many channels, and honestly, I do not know how to make sense of which ones are good and which ones are bad. In fact, in my last class, I did an OSINT comprehensive class, we were going through some of the trending apps, and there was one called Fubo that I didn't have a clue what it was. It's streaming sports. I didn't have a clue, but we were kind of going through and trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we figure out if, profiles from here, how do we vet this tool? And there's so many IPTV ones. And it's so easy to say, oh, I'm just going to add this because then I can watch such and such TV programs or movies for free. Well, it looks like, scammers know that you are going to add anything that looks easy. And so.
Right. And just like when you were explaining in your one class before how phishing websites will have like a 0 instead of an O in the URL, the same thing is happening in the app stores. So you'll have an app that's named after a mainstream vetted app, but it'll be, there will be a misspelling in it or something like that.
Yeah, but Sarah, they don't even do that in the App Store. If I have an app and I want to name it TikTok on the App Store, I can. They'll say who it's from, and they'll, I have to put my own graphic on it, and whatever. But it can be named the same exact thing.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It can be a copycat app, or it can be a slightly, different spelled app, or it can be from a different company, not the same company as the mainstream one. So it's really important to check and make sure that it's the correct one.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like knowing who produced that app and looking for that producer, where the app's coming from.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of different apps out there. So the first app we wanted to take a look at, Sarah, you brought this one up. Lovemail.ru, social networking. I'm going to guess this is a dating social network. Looks like a dating. Yeah. So what would you do first thing to help you identify, okay, let me get a little bit more information about this and whether or not it's safe to add to my device or not?
Well, the first thing I would do is look at the offered URL, which is also in the title, which is lovemail.ru. And I would not open the URL first on my computer. What I would do is I'd always check that URL in a no-touch venue, such as phone analytics page X-ray or Internet Archive. And I would look at it and then see what that landing page looks like. And then I'd also look at the TLD, which is the top layer domain. In this instance, .ru is the top layer domain for Russia. So that means that this app is based on a Russian TLD, so it has connections to Russia.
Yeah, and in this little snippet, it also tells you that, love@mail.ru, dating is the leading dating site in Russia. So sometimes it can give you a little bit more information there. As we scroll down, kind of interesting that we have some reviews. In this review, 5 stars says wrong check. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But even below that, because they can fake a bunch of reviews. Somebody can buy reviews somewhere. But one thing I would want to check, the App Store should give you some of the app privacy, what they're going to be grabbing from your phone. So that's data used to track you, data linked to you, data not linked to you. But also there should be some information about the seller, like who's the company that's running this. And we have Mamba ZAO. So I showed you a search earlier with the looking just for the domain of that. We could Google Mamba ZAO as well.
Yes, and what was interesting about that is, if I'm not mistaken, that went to China.
Yeah, it looks like it might be. So let me see.
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes to show that, you know, you don't have to necessarily even be in the country that you're taking the top level domain from. A lot of people buy websites out of, you know, like Libya was LY. A lot of people are getting that, the IO domains, things like that. So the domain doesn't necessarily, it depends how the country themselves treat it. I believe that RU is very controlled by Russia. But if we look at this, Mamba ZAO is actually a Russian-based social discovery and dating app network. So it turns out it is Russian, right? So that makes sense. But it would also make sense to me if it was Chinese. We now know that this is the company, and we can also go and check out tools like, for example, Crunchbase.
Right.
Sarah, you ever use Crunchbase?
Yes.
So I'm going to switch to this tab. So in Crunchbase, I probably would put in something like, what is it, Love Mail again? Let me double check and look at that other app page. So lovemail.ru. All right. So I'm going to go into Crunchbase and I'm going to look for Love Mail. Oh, okay. So we'll go in here, look at Love Mail, see if there's anything for that. I see Love Your Miles. That's not what we're looking for. Sometimes you can put the domain in instead of the name. So lovemail.ru. And what I'm looking for here, so now I'll try the Mamba one. Let's see. Mamba ZAO. Let me grab that from the other page. What I'm looking for here is for the potential for investments. And a lot of times this is going to be very, very US-centric, Crunchbase is, but maybe there's some other ones that are going to be, if you're more of a Russian analyst, you might find the Russian ones. But this tool is to let you know who's invested in what, who the major players are. If you pay for it, you'll get direct links to their LinkedIn accounts, things like that. I'm not seeing it here in the organizations, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily malicious. It just means that we don't have any maybe US-based investors who are interested in it right now. You know, or at least not, you know, it's not publicly traded in the same sort of way. What do you think, Sarah?
Yep, I agree.
Yep. Okay. So again, that's some of the steps you take for that. You would go chasing down their domain, their website, their company that's putting them out there. You could also go look for things like some of the scam app rankings, things like that. Sarah, you gave us a couple of tools as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Security analysis. Now we're going to come back to this one because this one's doing extensions. In fact, I think all the tools that we have right here are extension tools, right? So maybe we'll come back to that. Yeah. So because we're doing apps right now. But yeah, there are, places that will rank them and tell you which ones are scams. And again, if it's a scam, enough people reporting it to the App Store will get it out of the App Store.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so what I would say though with this is, when you're vetting the tool, is that, like, if you're doing Russia-based investigations, if you wanted to use that app, is you would consider that in your OPSEC plan. And so, maybe you want to do something with managed attribution, or you do it within an isolated environment, so that you're not opening that URL on any. Yeah.
Well, and if you did open it on your IP, like maybe they would be like, that's not normal. We don't have any other users in that location,
Right.
So, like, mark you as fake or something like that in that as well. When you're talking about managed attribution, you're talking about things like sock puppet, right?
Yes. Yeah. You might want to use like a sock puppet with a indigenous system. You might want to set it up so that you are going to that app at the time zone that the app is coming from, versus like a different, to show like what a normal pattern would look like from a regular user from where the app is popular.
Yeah. And so this is sockpuppet.io, and more, I keep thinking about, how hard it is to keep certain accounts alive. You really want a SIM card, and if you can't do it, these guys can. So it might be something to consider because they will actually put it in certain locations for you, et cetera, as well. All right, we have another app, Farmers Match.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes,
duplicate
and
from
that's where
another.
I got the China mixed up. This one
Okay.
is based out of China.
Yeah, and this one, if I scroll down here, I'm going to kind of highlight really quickly that it's Farmers Only. Country Dating is the famous one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of going off of that name. Okay, Farmers Match then.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But I mean, looking at it on the outside from first glance, you wouldn't look at this and say, oh, this is hosted out of China.
Right. Yeah. Culturally, it looks very US centric.
Mm-hmm.
So scrolling down it a little bit, again, we can go down to, what they're getting from you. This, again, what they are asking for when you add that to your device. And the company, Hike Global Limited, is the company. So then we would search on both the website or the name of the app, but also on the company itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about extensions. I love extensions, but I have to tell you, I don't use a lot of extensions right now. I have my core few, and I'm wondering what I'm missing. So I actually put a post out on LinkedIn not long ago that said, hey, what extensions are you using? What good lists are there? What am I missing? And so I might add a few more come in the future, but right now I think I have a couple of core ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 core extensions right now that I use. What is this Gotanda one, Sarah? It looks
It's
like
one that, yeah. So with this one, the reason that I put it in here is first of all, it has 1 rating. So you would have to see what's the transparency in the extension, who made it, when's the last time it was updated, are there other places with reviews if it only has 1 rating?
only 947 users according to this as well.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but again, we'd scroll on down, right? And we would see, okay, so now we can go and check out the company that's running it, hash that DA1. We don't see that.
This one lacked transparency.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't have like the whole, what is it asking for? This is website content, but it might be also a little bit simpler in that it really is just looking at the who is. Might not be though. What would you do if you put it on your device, Sarah, and wanted to kind of check, like, what is it doing? Maybe use something like my brain. It starts with a W. Anyway, okay. Use a tool that's going to monitor your network usage.
Oh, okay. Well, I always look at the real-time network usage.
Oh yeah, and you could do that even just in your browser using your.
But the other thing about this one that was also interesting is its update. So this one was last updated on 2022. Just because it hasn't been updated recently doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, but at the same time, it hasn't been updated for a while. Any browser that, is has like a higher level of security typically has patches or typically has updates to it on a fairly consistent basis. And this one hasn't been updated for a few years.
Right. And I think I find sometimes that is true on extensions where somebody will throw it up against the wall and then like never come back to it. And doesn't mean the extension is necessarily going to be unusable. It's just that you know that there's going to be some risk in there.
Right.
I just want to briefly run across, this is not the website I was thinking. The other one's really popular and it's at the tip of my tongue. So if somebody knows what I'm talking about, tell me. But SniffNet, where you monitor your own network traffic, basically to see like what is my computer talking to when I access certain websites. Anyway, other ones at the tip of my tongue.
Not WebLicer.
Right.
Oh gosh, what is it?
Oh, I'll think of it as soon as we shut down the stream for the day. Anyway, back to Gotanda. So again, this is going to be one of those things where, and then down here, the C details, there's really nothing that they're, grabbing from the data theoretically, right? I say theoretically. Here's another one from the Google Play Store. This is the one that we actually run across it. We ran through one of these extension checkers. Sarah, why did you choose Lemur browser? That's one to check. This one actually has 1 million downloads, but only 3.7 stars.
So the reason I chose Lemur browser is frankly, because I had never used Lemur browser, and it's named after lemurs, and I kind of think lemurs as animals are cute. So that's why
Sometimes you take them because you're like, ooh, look at the weird stuff we find out about these ones. But this is a cute one. Look at that little logo.
Yeah. So
okay, so scrolling down again. It's a browser.
But Kirby, you need to put Lemur browser on the screen.
Oh, you guys want to see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, now you can see the cute little image. It's so cute. All right,
Thank
now I'll scroll down and see where it says that it is a browser that can support Google extensions and Edge extensions, and is also supports TamperMonkey, which apparently you can support these extensions on your phone using Lemur browser, right? I don't know. This is a yeah, it looks like that is something that you can do. So that's really interesting because it is really a different world on the mobile browser than it is on the computer browser, But so let's take a look at what else of this app. Yes,
and I just wanted to highlight, as you mentioned, it has 1 million downloads. So lots of people will just look at an app or an extension and say, oh, it has this many downloads, so it must be okay.
Right, or the reviews. This one has 3.52 thousand reviews. That's kind of a lot of reviews. So I might think that the averages are pretty good. If it has a very few reviews, like 1,000 or less, I might think they bought reviews. It's still not a lot of reviews for 1 million downloads, right? So there are, games you can play when you have a tool and you want people to download, you want people to trust it. You might download it a lot yourself or find a way to get, that number up. This one was updated last in October 24, 2025. We've got here's the data safety information. So the developer says this app doesn't collect user data. Data is encrypted in transit, and you can request it to be deleted. So I think that's kind of interesting. And then down below, again, we've got some reviews that aren't the greatest. In fact, quite a few that are down in the 3 and lower. But it might be worthwhile to read a little bit of these reviews. Instead, I'm going to kind of zip down and take a look at, again, if we can find, the developer for this, which I must have already passed. Oh, Lemur Browser Limited, right? And so when you go to the Google Play Store, apparently it's up at the top, but we have 2 Lemur browser extensions and then the beta version of it. So you can see what else they've created. And then we can do the same thing we did before, take a look at the, are they in Crunchbase? What can I find on Google? What can I look at their main page? Are they in any scam sites? But then we have the extension checkers or the tools right here. So this one is the Can I Trust That? CITT, Can I Trust That? I love websites that are named like this, like Have I Been Pwned and Down for Everyone or Just Me, Can I Trust That? And so this one is saying 30 out of 100, but that does not necessarily mean that you can't use it. You are doing your risk analysis, and there may be situations in which you do use it. All right. Best for users who prioritize browser features over security.
Kirby, can you show the Can I Trust That?
Oh, dang it. All right, here we go.
Thank you.
Can I trust that? Yes, here we are again. All right, so this one, it says best for users who prioritize browser features over security and don't log into sensitive accounts. So it's just basically telling you that if you're privacy conscious, you probably don't want to log into your bank, log into your finance or your health stuff, log into maybe even your social networks. But this might be something that you use as your browsing data if it has some of the add-ons that you just can't live without. Like reverse image search, for example. There's some, you can do that on the phone, but there's some cool add-ons for that. For example, search by add-on. So if Lemur lets you have that add-on on your mobile browser, maybe you'll have that just to go across all those different reverse search engines or things, of that nature. You have an add-on you really want to use. But again, not on anything that you have to log into.
So can I trust that? They have a very, I'd say they're a little bit more in depth in their reviews. And so they do go a little bit deeper than most people would. The part I do think though is very helpful is the one when they do mark it as critical, because they explain why they find it to be a critical vulnerability. And then you can, as you said, put that into your recipe for what you need. So if it's a vulnerability with like scripting, then you would say, okay, well, yeah, I wouldn't use this in an isolated environment. So,
yeah, and you look at this. I mean, didn't they say encrypted in the thing?
yeah.
But these guys are saying unencrypted custom shared preferences, no encryption
Yeah.
for authentication tokens. Maybe the traffic itself is encrypted, but not some of the surrounding details.
So I thought the China data transfer without disclosure was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is as well, definitely.
Mhm.
Yep. So, and then of course we've got some other, the high, and then the medium danger. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that is nice. I do like the critical ones. And again, maybe you really, really want your, your extensions. You're still going to use it for some things. Just don't log in. I don't need extensions on mobile enough for this to matter to me. So I'd probably just turn me off. I would say, okay, forget it. I'm not going to use this one. We have another extension risk assessment tool called spin.ai. And let me share that one. All right, so this is going to be another one. This one asks you to get a demo, but it does look like they are going to go through. It says they have the access to the largest database on the market with over 400,000 browser extensions, SaaS, cloud, mobile apps assessed by our AI algorithms. So another one to also let you know, if things are safe or not. This one, again, if it's going to be something where you have to request a demo, then chances are that it also is a paid tool, and it looks like it is, but not horrible. So right here we've got $3 per user per month if you want to do that, and it looks like it backs up your extensions or apps as well. And then when it says contact sales, that's when you know things are going to go up drastically. All right. Next tool, same sort of thing. We are going to take a look at Extension Auditor. And this one I did have to log in even to kind of get to this point. But let's see if I can just, I guess I have to do team. I just logged into this, so this is not, okay, here we go. So some how-tos for getting started with it, that sort of thing. I'm not sure, Sarah, have you used this one?
Yeah, but the page looks different than it did last week. So, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
but
the excavator, but that one went down.
Yeah, this one though was more helpful for some of the bigger extensions versus some of the ones that might not be as well known.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's the documentation page tutorial. So it has tutorials on how to use it. I'm using it for free right now. I just signed in with a Google account. And so what I might do is check out, getting started and authentications, check out their database, things like that. Yeah. All right. A couple other things to evaluate. So we did some extensions, we did some apps, and another, just sometimes you just come across different OSINT tools. You're cruising around on x.com and you see somebody say, oh, look, I've got this awesome Ghost IG silent Instagram OSINT. I just launched it to reveal what Instagram hides without being caught, blah, blah, blah. So you have like, okay, it's on GitHub. Sarah, what would you do with the GitHub stuff? We'll go to GitHub.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot you would do with the GitHub stuff. So the first is you would look and see, does it have recent comments? So that shows that it has, is it being actively maintained? I mean, if something has no comments for like 5 years, maybe it's not being maintained anymore, and you have to check and see if it's being made, if that's the case. Is the person who made it transparent as far as their who's maintaining the repository? And a big thing is, does it have a license? If something doesn't have a license, that means that if you use it, you theoretically could still get in trouble for using it because it's not technically open source from an open source software perspective.
Right.
And then you need to take a look at what kind of license it is. Does it have stars? Does it have people that have forked it? If you have 100 forks of a repo on GitHub, that typically means that it probably is good, or that
Like it, that they're like building
yeah,
on.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that you would look at with that, and the screen name also, you can always cross compare the screen name, because a lot of times, if there's not transparency in the repo with the screen name, a lot of times you can get transparency off of the repo by putting that screen name into just a general search engine query.
Yeah,
Right.
actually. So this one, he kind of spells out exactly who he is. But again, if you weren't, if this was a little bit more, undercover, which a lot of GitHub stuff is, then you just look for that person around the web, because they're going to be advertising their stuff somewhere. And even if you don't find who they are exactly, you'll find them advertising their content and maybe some conversation about it. You're talking about the commits and how like someone can be way behind. I'm going to show you one of my favorite tools, but it is not necessarily up to date. Holohay. You look here, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
now this next step on this is when you have something that is not updated, and that the comments are like 2 years old and there's been no patches or anything like that, is you can use a code audit tool like Sync, and run the code to see what vulnerabilities pop up. And then you can also fork it and get yourself a developer and then fix whatever shows up as problems within that audit.
exactly. And there's enough people that are fans of this tool that if you forked it and put it out there, some other people would help you with it as well. I will say there's one more thing you can do with things like this, though, is take that, point Claude to it, and tell Claude you want this tool to run in an artifact. And we'll talk about the Claude artifacts here in a minute too.
I didn't even think about that, but yes.
Yeah, I love that idea. So that way, it's just another way to bring that back to life. But we'll talk about Claude here in a minute. Okay, so again, that was just in looking for whatever we happen to find coming across just on x.com or on, for example, bluesky.com, other people sharing tools. So right here, OSINT Detective, the cyber detective person, she shares a lot of different tools, but you want to make sure, again, that she doesn't seem to check them too much, so you have to do the checking. Now, this tool right here is a Shadow Dragon tool, and I want to highlight that Shadow Dragon is a company that I do trust. But to me, it looks like a Claude tool as well. Okay, Sarah, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say is I think also some OSINT practitioners, this one, she's based out of Moscow. She's been doing this for a long time. She probably is using an isolated environment or a VM. It might not, it might not occur to somebody to say, you should be running this in a VM. They just assume you'll be doing it because there's a lot of people
that's their normal.
That's their normal thing that they do every day. They don't do anything outside of an isolated environment. And then the other thing is,
she has enough tools that I think that she doesn't necessarily get a chance to use all of them, which is fine. Right. You don't have to be, you find a tool that's useful to share. You don't have to be using it. Just keep in mind that when people are sharing that, it does not mean that they vet it.
Right. And you should always check and see, who's recommending it as well. Like who's recommending this tool. So
here's another one that came across Blue Sky. Sarah, this is the one that you were saying we should take a look at. It's Hunt X Bytes Ghost Track. In our document, you have something for this one. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is, you said this one is kind of looking at a code repository might be, and then we already are. This is GitHub one.
Yeah,
So,
we already looked at the code
yeah, we
repository.
kind of
This
already
one
jumped
had a,
into this one.
yeah, so
She has a
this one had
reminder
a,
in my notes.
yeah, this one had a lot of interesting, kind of flags in its repository that you'd be like, so,
Okay, let's go look at it really quick.
okay.
All right, there we go. And this one also, the last commit, it's 2 years ago. So,
Yeah.
But again, maybe it didn't need anything further, but.
Well, this one has no license.
Oh, there isn't. You're right. There's no license to this one.
That's the first thing that stood out to me is there's no license. And there was somebody the other day on LinkedIn who said, oh, well, they said, oh, well, I'm putting this out as an OSINT tool so everybody can just have it. It doesn't need a license. But it does.
Because then you could turn around and say, oh, I didn't license it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so easy to license it. You just can say, hey, here's the license I'm going under. And it could be something as easy as Creative Commons for anybody to use however the hell they want or whatever. There's a lot of very easy licenses to use.
Right.
So, okay. Let's talk about ChatGPT.
Okay.
So people make their GPTs, and you will, of course, if there's like an AI that lets you do this, and GPTs are little agents within ChatGPT, you will be, of course, vetting the AI tool in the first place, right? But Sarah, do we need to vet the GPTs themselves individually?
Yes.
Why?
Well, there's lots of reasons why. I mean, what is the intent of the person that made it?
Right.
Yeah.
You can see some cases like in video right. AI, if you're familiar with InVideo, maybe it's that same organization. You probably want to check it out, but there's going to be a ton of them, like people you don't know. Who's awesomegpts.ai, right? You might want to go and look and see like, okay, what does this tool do, right? And then, I mean, it is just in ChatGPT, so there is a certain limit to what it can do. However, is it pulling other information? Is there other pieces to it? For example, when I make my own GPTs, I can tell it what to do, and maybe at some point I'm going to say, okay, I want like specific analytics maybe coming from it as well, which I haven't tried yet, but why not, right? So there, you definitely want to vet, and in this case, you're looking at the developer, the creator. Whoever created this is the one that you're most going to be interested in researching and identifying whether or not you're kind of trust that person,
right?
Because that's all you have to use generally.
Right.
Sometimes it's a company, right? You got a company like Canva and Expedia and InVideo, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if something is not transparent, I mean, if it's opaque, I mean, there are legitimate reasons sometimes why something is opaque. Somebody is in Myanmar and they make something and they put it out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it
right now. There's the stuff going on in Dubai where they don't want certain information coming out. Maybe you put a tool that gets battle damage or whatever, and you don't want your name on it. You're never going to Dubai again if you do.
Right. But at the same time, if something is opaque, you need to also look at, is there a logical reason for it, or is this nefarious?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Claude. I love Claude artifacts, but it's the same sort of thing. Who developed that Claude artifact? Who's the creator? So as far as Claude goes, you can create programs in Claude, and you can just download them and install them somewhere else, whatever. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts on that here in a minute. But you can also go to the inspiration artifacts and see what other people are doing and adopt them. But what am I adopting, right? Am I adopting just a QR code generator, or am I adopting something that also, like sends all the QR codes to a certain email or something? Who knows, right? Analytic collecting, that sort of thing as well. But my thought on this, when you create your own, whether you're adopting something from something that somebody already has out here, and by that I mean, if we click into this, up here I can hit customize, and I can adopt that and take that for my own, right? But regardless of what you do on Claude, when you create programs on Claude, do not think of them as hardened programs that you're now going to offer and become the next Mark Zuckerberg, unless you are also ready to provide all those updates yourself, all those security vulnerability updates, right? That sort of thing.
Mhm.
You're going to be the one with the whole infrastructure for that. You're going to be the one who's responsible for people using it illegally, etc. So that's something to think about. Make tools. I love making tools in Claude, but if you're not ready to like be publishing tools, there are organizations out there making and publishing them, which is fine because they have other tools. They already know the process. I'm thinking Shadow Dragon here, right? They know the process. But if you don't, then it's probably good to kind of keep that to yourself or your team until you do know that process.
And if you're doing open source tooling, which is not Claude, but if you're doing open source tooling, because there are some tools for vibe coding that have open source, you do want to look at, is it falling under standards? Is there a process that you can take it to for peer review? So,
right. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one was a little bit shorter.
Yep.
Sarah had a bunch of other demo ideas for us, but I kind of was like, we're not going to do every website. But I do want to highlight that we do have a free webinar that we're going to do where we actually go into the tools and like really get into the nitty gritty of one of these websites or one of these tools. And that's going to be on March 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Look for the invite to that coming up soon. We'll be putting it across of our email as well as on LinkedIn. And we have some kind of secret cohort that's going to be released to our email subscribers on Monday that also has to do with vetting tools and really has to do with compliance and getting full vet on all of these tools.
And knowledge base where we review tools.
Yes, and we review tools on our knowledge base. Let me go show you that one again. So we show it on each of our productions here. So there we go. There's our knowledge base. And we'll mention our current sponsors, Paraben and Forensic OSINT. See a few more sponsors coming up soon. And last of all, but not least, we're going to leave you with our slap of the week. Right?
This week it's very short slap.
It's very short. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, la la la.